Hi, I'm Amy Rawls. I'm a member of the Healthy Congregation Committee here at ERUUF. We also call ourselves the HCC. And today I'm joined by Eric Hodges, a friend and a fellow member of the HCC. And we're here today for our second seasonal conversation with the HCC. And our topic is going to be the COVID pandemic 1 year in. So this week we marked our first full year of this pandemic, at least as it has been recognized as a worldwide pandemic. And I think exactly 1 year ago today was when my children stopped going to school and have not yet returned. So we thought this would be a good time to get together and just have a conversation. And so Eric was so kind as to join us and share his experience over the last year.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Yeah. So we'll just jump right in. So thinking about this last year, how has this pandemic and the disruption and maybe even opportunities impacted you and your family for the better and for the worse?
Yeah, I mean, we, the thing about our family, I guess, is that we are all fairly comfortable homebodies. So in some ways, it hasn't been tremendously impactful in the sense of like feeling like, oh, I can't get somewhere, you know, I can't do something. It's been the contact with family and friends that's been the challenge. But there's been a way for us to work around that and to get in touch with people as best we can with technology. I think we're all getting accustomed to this type of format with using Zoom. I think a real benefit that I've noticed, at least this year, is that because I'm working at home as well, that we are all here together, and that's been really nice for us. I think this is, in that way, it's been a special kind of year for us to be able to be together. We certainly are giving each other space, and we have our own things that we like to do, but we're all supportive of each other with that. So I think we've tried to take a silver lining approach to it as best we could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear that. I feel like there's these moments where sometimes I feel like we're all together all the time, and often that is wonderful. And then other times it's this weird pull and push of being all together and even feeling lonely at the same time. So I think that's been an interesting thing as we have a new normal in our households and how we are in the world. What else has gotten you through it, Eric? It sounds like, you know, from a family perspective, you have some really great, you know, context and framework for how to manage this new situation, but other things that helped you personally get through those changes.
Yeah, I mean, we spent more time last summer in the Eno River than I think we ever have, and that was fantastic. Really, we wound up kind of co-potting, I guess, as it were, with another family that we had gotten to know through Kai's school, and they live very close, like within walking distance to the Eno. So we spent a lot of time hiking, but you know, getting down and just being in the water and just being outdoors has been great. You know, a recent thing that we started a few weeks ago now that we took actually a lot of joy in. The kids I think are starting to be like, do we have to do this again? But on a Sunday recently, we just took some trash bags with us, and we tried to get out and walk together. And so we were walking around a section of where we live, and we're just like, we're going to pick up trash. And it was really gratifying to do that, and it felt good. And we met this amazing guy that has been doing that work, and you know, he stopped his car and he like popped his trunk, and he was like, I've already gotten all these bags, you know, and he's like, you guys are angels. And we're just like, no, man, you're the angel. And, it's been really cool to think about ways that we can help one another. We have been involved in food banking, and I've started vaccinating people now over the last month, and that's all been like really joyous about ways to think about how we can help one another.
Nice. Yeah. I was just, as you were talking about this joy in maybe finding more either time or space or both for the outdoors, there has been perhaps a shift for many of us where the outdoors used to be the place you did riskier things, but now the outdoors is more safe in some regards. And so a lot of people, including our family, have been kind of called to do sort of either vacations that are entirely outdoors or, you know, just finding ways to be outdoors where you're not quite so confined or masked up.
Absolutely.
So thinking about your relationships and your community, we've talked a little bit already about how it's impacted your family relationships, but maybe thinking about professional or friendships or even other community that you're part of or have relationships in, how has that been impacted?
We've done something really interesting professionally. I mean, like so many people, the events of last summer, not really COVID related events, but the issues around murders of folks, many, and racial justice issues really came to the forefront in a way that I think that the pandemic has allowed people to be able to really see and experience in a way that they may not have been able to had the pandemic not been going on, because it would be just another headline that's going by. But people actually had the time for this reflection and really thinking, we thought so many times this is going to be it, like this is finally going to be when something happens, and it wasn't. But that's one of the things that's really happened this year. And so I went through a lot of training last summer and have been engaged in work now at my university within my school of looking at whiteness through a critical lens, and inviting faculty and staff to participate in these conversations. Every 2 weeks we get together and we'll have listened to a podcast called Seeing White. And we'll listen to an episode and we'll discuss it, but then we'll talk about the applications of that to our community, our professional community, to say, what can we do to, really create, to dismantle some things that are structurally in place, and to really create a community that is supportive of one another in deep and fundamental ways. And that's been such a gratifying activity to be engaged in the last year. It's still going on. We'll continue on through May.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. I think it's so easy to think about all the ways that our distance creates maybe barriers or obstacles, but there could be some really important ways where it allows us to have a little more time, like you said, for reflection or honesty, and perhaps for some, maybe many, the ability to be a little bit more vulnerable or enter a space that requires more vulnerability. Maybe the stakes are actually less in the virtual space.
Yeah, there's some research that's bearing that out in terms of participating in Zoom with research subjects that are around some sensitive topics, like they feel more comfortable actually talking about things in this type of platform than they do like right across the table and one-on-one. And so I think in some ways, that this type of platform has created a feeling of safety for people because most of the time they're in their home, or they're at least not together, and so that feeling of safety and also separation may allow people to be more forthcoming and to share stories, and it's been really powerful.
Interesting. Thank you.
Yeah.
So now we're talking a little bit next about spirit. So how do you feel this has enabled you to learn anything new about kind of your spirituality, or just, your spirit, who you are?
Yeah, I think one of the things that people are often challenged by spiritually is what happens when things go bad. And I've felt incredibly blessed and grateful to be able to maintain my job and not have to face many of the challenges that so many of our fellow Americans have had to face in regard to true challenges with economic, health-related, loss of loved ones, separations. So it's been good for me, I think, to recognize my my privilege, certainly, but also just my resilience in the face of challenges that are going on, and finding new ways to really practice my philosophy of good in action and caring for people, and the creativity in being able to do that in ways that the pandemic has presented has been really nice in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I think that's a really interesting point that you highlight, that, so much of spiritual thinking is about perhaps it's about end of life, perhaps it's about resilience. And this has at least given us an opportunity to see what that looks like in action in such a, profound, long period of distress, and how to come out of this hopefully stronger and better somehow. And then really quick, oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, and I think just being able to recognize what the challenges that our community is facing.
Yes.
And our sort of positionality in that, in terms of our opportunities to be able to try to genuinely be of service to people.
Yeah. From a UU perspective, I think this pandemic has so highlighted the truth in the principle of the interdependent web. It's everything from how well the vaccine campaign works to how we mobilize resources and care for others to everyone's benefit, right? Okay, so finally, last quick question, two things. What one thing are you hoping and looking forward to moving away quickly that we've had to adopt during this time? And what do you hope to retain even once things someday do return to normal?
Well, I mean, the social distancing, I'll be very happy to be done with. I've been fortunate, because I've been serving as a vaccinator, that I have been fully vaccinated, and my parents now have both been fully vaccinated. And on Sunday, I'm actually going to drive up and see my dad, and I'll get to hug him, and that's going to be awesome. So I'm really looking forward to being able to hug people that I love. So I'm happy to move away from that social distance. I mean, I think the things that I want to retain are the things that I've shared a bit about, in terms of thinking about, additional ways that even when things start to get back to normal, that a lot of these needs aren't going to go away.
Right.
They've actually always been there, but the pandemic has created an opportunity for us to see them in ways that we might not otherwise be able to see. And so thinking about, opportunities for, improving the lives of others and deepening my own spiritual path through that, I'm definitely going to stay on top of that.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think we've covered what we wanted to talk through. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And we will return sometime in the future for another seasonal conversation. So yeah, be well.
Thanks, Amy. You too.
Thank you. Okay.